And I think that Americans were split 50-50 maybe a couple of months ago when it came to Harry and Meghan. But the problem is that they can't close their mouths and they just keep talking, and it seems more and more petty.
Candace Owens just annihilated Meghan Markle's podcast career so hard. Even Spotify's lawyers are sending condolence cards. Y'all, I'm telling you right now, what happened in this podcast interview was like watching someone try to perform CPR on a career that was already 6 feet under. But wait, it gets so much worse. So Meghan decides to go on Jamie Kern-Lima's podcast, right? And she's like, I'm gonna show everyone the real me. No makeup, no script, just pure authenticity. Honey, that's like me saying I'm gonna run a marathon after eating 3 pizzas.
But I obviously knew that they would end up in LA because that was Meghan's dream. Her dream was to be an A-lister, and she was unable to make it to those A-list parties.
We all know how this is gonna end, but we're gonna watch anyway because we love a good disaster. Now here's where it gets spicy. Candace Owens is watching this whole thing unfold, and she's got her verbal sledgehammer ready. You know that feeling when you're watching someone parallel park, and you know they're about to hit that car? That's exactly what this was, except the car was Meghan's credibility, and the driver was, well, also Meghan.
And she's been a social climber from the beginning. She married somebody the first time to socially climb. And for her, Harry was just an entry ticket into all of those circles.
But the real plot twist, the internet had receipts ready before Meghan even finished her first fake sob. Listen, I've seen more convincing tears in a high school drama class. Meghan sitting there doing this whole shaky voice thing, strategic sniffles, the works. But where are the actual tears? People online were zooming in on screenshots like they're investigating a crime scene. And Candace, oh honey, Candace was not having it. She goes, make it end. Which, let's be honest, is what half of us were screaming at our screens.
I don't care at all for the Harry and Meghan thing except for the political undertones of somebody saying, I'm not liked, therefore it's because I'm 25% black.
You know it's bad when even your haters are getting secondhand embarrassment for you. The best part, Meghan's reading this heartfelt letter to her kids, right? But she's performing it like she's auditioning for a Hallmark movie. Every pause is perfectly timed, every word dripping with more melodrama than a telenovela. But here's what nobody expected her to say next. So Meghan goes, this is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Girl, your hair is blown out to perfection. Your skin is glowing like you've got a ring light following you around, and you're telling us this is natural? That's like me saying I woke up like this when I've got a full glam squad hiding behind the camera.
Spotify lost so much money on them, and you remember one of the executives came out and said they quite literally have no talent, but worse than that,
even the critics were like, listen, she didn't have eye makeup on, which is different from having a no makeup on. It's like saying you're on a diet while eating a salad that's covered in fried chicken. You're technically not lying, but you're not exactly telling the truth either. Candace called it straight up. This wasn't bravery, this was branding. And speaking of branding, wait until you hear what happened with her business empire.
Throughout Meghan Markle's entire career, she never wanted people to know that she was black. She never wore that on her sleeve. She never spoke about her blackness.
Y'all remember when Meghan was going to be the next Oprah? The next Martha Stewart? Well, turns out she's more like the next nobody. Her American Riviera orchard brand? Still MIA. The only thing she successfully launched are jars of jam to celebrities. And even those probably had better PR teams than she does. Candace went in on this. You are not a successful female entrepreneur. You are shameless and exhausting. Damn, that's not just throwing shade, that's throwing the whole tree. Meanwhile, Jamie Kern-Lima, the woman interviewing Meghan, actually built a billion-dollar cosmetics empire from scratch. The contrast? Chef's kiss level of ironic. But wait, it gets even more embarrassing when you realize where this interview is taking place. Here's the kicker. After Spotify dumped Meghan's podcast deal faster than a hot potato, she has to go on someone else's podcast to be relevant again. That's like getting kicked out of your own house and then asking to sleep on your neighbor's couch. The woman who demanded the world listen to her truth is now sitting there as a guest trying to outsob the actual host. And Jamie Kern-Lima, bless her heart, she's sitting there throwing compliments like confetti. Are you in love now more than ever? How beautiful is your husband? It didn't feel like an interview. It felt like a paid Instagram ad. There were no tough questions, no real conversation, just cheerleader-level praise that made everything feel faker than a $3 bill. But the audience reaction? That's where things get really juicy. The internet turned into CSI, Miami faster than you can say enhance. People were posting side-by-side videos of Meghan's different crying interviews, and honey, the voice cracks were identical. Same inflection, same facial expressions, same suspicious pauses. It was like watching someone lip-sync to their own trauma. One user posted, "Why does this feel like a parody?" And honestly, every Meghan interview, is starting to feel like an SNL sketch. She's got the emotional manipulation down to a science at this point. Either she has the most specific trauma pattern in history, or she's following a script. And most people are betting on the script. Even the UK tabloids had a field day. Tearless sobbing was one headline. Oscar-worthy was another. But here's what shocked everyone. The US press didn't defend her this time. Remember when Hollywood used to have Meghan's back? Oprah, Serena Williams, Ellen, Tyler Perry, they were all Team Meghan. Well, now it's quieter than a library at midnight. They're not defending her. They're not reposting her ventures. They're just gone. In Hollywood, silence doesn't just speak louder than words. It SCREMS. Even Netflix is reportedly tightening the leash. After that jam stunt and the lukewarm reception of everything else, they're done writing blank checks. Meghan's fairy dust has officially lost its magic, and executives are demanding actual results instead of just vibes and trauma glitter. But Candace wasn't done dropping truth bombs. Candace laid out Meghan's whole playbook. Announce a new venture, play the victim, do a press blitz, vanish, return with a new project, repeat. It's like a really depressing version of Groundhog Day, except Bill Murray isn't there to make it entertaining. She's exhausting, Candace said, and honestly, she's not wrong. Every public appearance is this dramatic attempt at redemption, but redemption from what? Being too privileged, living in a literal palace with royal staff, having problems most people can't even dream of having. The woman complained about being in the trenches while living in Buckingham Palace. That's like complaining about being hungry while eating a 5-course meal. But wait until you hear what happened with her work ethic claims. So Meghan's talking about how she loves being busy and working so hard, right? Meanwhile, critics are pulling up her tax documents showing they work 1 hour a week. 1 hour? I spend more time deciding what to watch on Netflix than these people spend working. Candace was like, work ethic must be grueling, coming up with Instagram captions while living in a mansion. And you know what? She's got a point. Meghan's idea of hard work is writing social media captions and planning photo shoots. That's not building an empire, that's maintaining a delusion. But here's where the real tea gets spilled about her vulnerability. Every time Meghan tries to be vulnerable, it comes with perfect lighting and a PR handler. Real vulnerability is supposed to be raw, uncomfortable, real. Not whatever this curated, filtered, focus-grouped version of struggle is supposed to be. Candace nailed it. She suffers from such a rare disorder of being unable to just be human. And that's the problem. Everything feels like an infomercial for brand Meghan. She wants to be Diana. She wants to be Oprah. She wants to be Michelle Obama. But those women didn't ask for sympathy. They earned respect through actual work. Meanwhile, Meghan only shows up when there's a camera, a mic, and a narrative she can control. But here's the million-dollar question. Does Meghan even know who she is without a camera pointed at her? Because for someone who claims to have been silenced by the royal family, she hasn't stopped talking since. She thrives in the spotlight. She feeds off it. She needs it like plants need sunlight. But silence isn't Meghan's style. Real healing doesn't come from podcasts or curated sob stories. It comes from actually doing the work and letting the work speak louder than your tears. But that would require stepping back from the spotlight, and we all know that's not happening. The damage control machine is already in overdrive. Meghan's team is working overtime trying to spin this disaster. Suddenly you're seeing headlines like, Meghan's vulnerability is her superpower, and why we shouldn't shame women for crying. It's the classic media pivot. When the heat gets too intense, play the feminism card and hope people forget what they were mad about. But people aren't forgetting. They're remembering everything. The Spotify mess, the Vanity Fair drama, the royal wedding spectacle followed by the royal implosion. When someone's credibility starts unraveling, people go back through all the receipts, and suddenly those red flags that looked like confetti start feeling like warning signs. And the final nail in the coffin? The shelf life is up. This game of perpetual reinvention through curated trauma, it has a shelf life, and that shelf is starting to rot. The public has options now. Better stories, realer stories. People like Quinta Brunson building empires without tears, or Rihanna saying little but doing a lot. Meghan's still stuck in Act 1, trying to prove herself through pity. But pity is not a legacy. People will rally behind a fighter, they'll root for the comeback, but they won't stick around for a rerun of the same script. So here's the real question. Was this Meghan's breaking point, or just another performance in a never-ending show? Because here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Meghan set out to control the narrative, but somewhere along the way, she became one. And this time, the audience might not be clapping. What do you think? Is this the end of the Meghan Markle media empire, or just another episode in the world's most expensive reality show? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, at this point, even Netflix is probably taking notes for their next documentary series.